So you're getting haters in the comment section. Or maybe you're too scared to even post because you fear what others might spew from behind their keyboard. Whether you're a seasoned creator or never created a reel in your life but want to, this conversation is for you. We explore our own experiences with online hate, why we think people leave negative comments, how it's actually an initiation, and most importantly, why you must continue creating and sharing regardless. Let's get into it. Welcome to Rich in Spirit.
Paid in full.
I'm Victoria.
And I'm Eimanne.
Here, we believe you don't have to choose between spiritual growth and financial success,
Ambition and alignment.
or healing and building an abundant life.
Join us each week to quantum leap with both proven, profitable systems and the spiritual insights that will light your way through life's greatest expansions.
Let's step into success that feeds your soul.
Before we start, because sometimes when we're talking about heavy topics, it's nice to get into our bodies first. Victoria, would you like to lead us in a few breaths?
Yes, I would love to. And I'm also going to invite you, if you can, if you're driving, please don't do this. But if not, I invite you to move, shake it out while you are doing these deep breaths. I'm about to guide you through. If you want to shake out your hands, if you want to rub your hands on your arms or move your head around, I invite you to do that. We can do that while we're breathing. So take in a deep inhale, holding at the top, and then shake it out. Exhale, just letting it all go. Okay, let's do that again. Deeper inhale than the first time. Holding at the top. Letting it all go. Moving your torso, moving your shoulders. Okay. And last but not least, deepest inhale of the day, feeling your stomach and chest expand. Exhale, everything contracts, getting out any final movements. Hip circles, neck circles. Okay, and then coming into a comfortable position when you're done.
Yummy. I feel like just those 3 breaths opened up my voice so much and dropped me into a lower center in my body.
I hear it. Wow.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Of course.
So, Victoria, recently you had some viral videos, didn't you?
Yes, viral for me. So I know you've had much more viral ones, so we can get into that, but I got in the 6 figures. I got in the 6 figures of views, which is a big deal for me. So that was pretty cool.
That's huge. That's absolutely viral. And what was the response like to those videos? Or maybe do you want to share what the videos were about and what the topic was, what the energy was behind it, and then what the response was like?
Yes, for sure. So it was one video in particular, and I had just taken a break from social media for 2 weeks just to give some context. I also had attended this amazing spiritual conference, which we'll get into in another episode. I had gone home, seen family and friends. So I share that just to show the type of energy I was in. I didn't really care. I had an idea come into my mind. I was sitting in my car. I was not wearing makeup. It was like a talking head video. And the message, which I thought was clear, but maybe not. I'll get into that later. But the point of it was supposed to be that no matter what is going on currently in your life, you don't have to wait to start. You don't have to wait to feel good. You don't have to do X, Y, and Z before you're worthy of what you want. And so in order to display that, I was sharing about how when I got out of my last relationship, on the surface, I was in a not great place. I had credit card debt. I was living with my parents. From the stress of the relationship and the breakup, I had gained weight. I was super inflamed. But on top of all of that, I was so elated and happy and feeling like myself for the first time and just excited to be alive, hopeful for the future. And I ended up getting a lot of male attention during that time. Even though I was doing a year of celibacy, I was not dating anyone. I still got this attention because of the energy I was giving off, because of how I was feeling. And that is what people picked up on. That was what was magnetic, not only to the male attention, but other opportunities coming into my life. And if I had let myself get in my head of like, I'm at my parents' house, I'm a loser, I should just stay in my house, I need to pay off this, this, and this before I can even think about dating, blah, 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 who knows where I would be right now? Who knows if I would have met my person in the time that I did, which I did right after my year of celibacy. So, how the video was set up is I was kind of naming where I was at that point on the surface, and then I was like, go to the caption for why none of that mattered. And then in the caption, I explained it. So a lot of people are just watching the first part of the video and they're not going to the caption, which I understand. And there was a little bit of a shock. I don't want to say it was controversial. It didn't feel controversial, but there was obviously,
It's attention grabbing.
yeah, attention grabbing. Exactly. So I posted across Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and I had plenty of positive comments, plenty of saves. I think right now I'm at 130,000 views on Instagram. That was where it did the best, which is exciting because normally YouTube is where I get more attention. So I was excited to have more of that recognition on Instagram because that's like my main platform. But there were a lot of negative comments. And in the past, I've had fears of negative comments, what people would say. And it definitely has gotten me a little in my head. Like I've posted videos before and lost sleep because I'm scared of what I'm going to wake up to in the morning. And with this one, something switched and I just didn't really care. Like, of course, when you first read a comment, it's annoying and it's frustrating. But all in all, I was like, whatever about it.
You share what they were? I'm just curious, were they as bad as you feared? Because you mentioned having
Mm.
fear that would keep you up at night. So I definitely want to hear what they were. But was the reality of them as bad as you feared?
No, I realized that the scariest part was not knowing what it was going to be. And then once I read it, I was like, oh, I've heard worse things in my own head than anything anyone could say
Oh, yeah.
online. Like, this is not, it's nothing. It's all you got.
You're your own worst critic. Stands true.
Yeah. And I was thinking to myself, like, what if someone commented on my weight? Like, what would be the worst possible thing someone could say? And like, if they watched something and said I was a bad actor, what would the worst thing be? And I really couldn't even think of. I think it would probably be someone who had actually, like, watched it, understood it, and then just completely called out something I didn't think about that was, like, hypocritical or unaware in what I had shared. That would bother me way more than some boomer insulting me for having debt or something. I don't care about that.
Right. If they actually pointed out something that you missed and you're like, oh no, I didn't do my due diligence,
Yes, yes,
that would feel like a gap. That would feel like an attack actually hit you. But so they
exactly.
weren't that. What were they?
No. So it seemed that me sharing as a woman that I was able to just be, just exist without like, oh, I need to be this perfect woman to attract men. Like the audacity I had to just go out, regardless of my situation, was very triggering to men who want women to feel like they need to be in their place. Like, how dare you think that you can go around and be enough and brag, quote unquote, brag about it? Like, how dare you? Be quiet. Go sit over there.
Haven't you heard the years and years of programming we've tried to get you to hear that you're not enough?
Right, exactly, exactly. And I could be totally off. And one guy was so funny because he was calling me dramatic, but he was putting like four spaces between everything he said and capitalizing certain words. And I'm like, I'm dramatic?
Dramatic.
Really? And he was just like, I would hate to see what goes on in your head. You probably can't even figure out what to cook for dinner. It was just so strange and very dramatic.
Pot calling the kettle black.
Right, exactly. That one was probably my favorite.
You do have favorites, right? There's like these favorite negative comments. It's like, oh wow.
Yes. Like you're just so unaware. It's entertaining.
Yeah,
But yeah, so I think overall it is a testament to the work I've done on myself that I can see these comments and just be like, whatever. And yes, we're
absolutely.
talking about it on a podcast, and I did have that thought of like, I'm giving attention to it. But as we'll get into later in the episode, we want to talk about this because I feel so many people do not share their truth online and do not post because they're understandably scared of what people will say because the comments can strike a chord or they can be triggering. And I just wanted to go into the psychology behind or our opinions on why people are posting like this so you can really think and know that you don't need to worry about these people and what they're saying. Like, please do what you're meant to do. Please say what you're meant to say. The world needs more of your truth. Do not let these people stop you.
Right. And there's a lot of people who are afraid to start and afraid to put themselves out there for that reason. And then there's a lot of people who do put themselves out there and are faced with negative comments and are faced with trolls and attacks. And so they've worked up the courage. They have decided to move on it, to act, to be themselves, and then they are attacked. And they do receive hate from it. People handle it in different ways. And, I've done some like help with other creators growing their accounts and their social media sort of audits and um, growth strategies. And people have varying abilities to handle that kind of negativity. And I've seen too many good creators and good people and good messages be totally turned off by negative comments. And it can destroy people, even good people, even people with good mindsets. So it is helpful, I think, for a lot of people to understand where that comes from. And like you said, the psychology behind those comments, and then things you can do to protect yourself. And yeah, and to not let it stop you. And then to also not let it throw you too far off course if it does come up later in your process.
Yeah, and I would love to know because you've had quite a few viral videos, and I would love to know the way you handle getting negative comments, which ones impact you, which ones don't, where you were at when you first started getting these comments or having viral videos, where you're at now, anything else in that realm.
Yeah, so when I first started building a online social media presence, it was more in the Hollywood film industry. And at that time, I was more of a people pleaser and really wanted people to like me and needed to be chosen and picked. And so I did also have a fear of negative comments, and it affected what I put out there. I
Mm.
think the work that I was putting out there was very vanilla. I mean, some of it might have been spicy. I won't say vanilla, but it was not trying to make anybody mad, just trying
Mm.
to be very positive and uplifting and not divisive. And I think for the most part, I did not get a lot of hate. But I also didn't see, and I did see a lot. I did see a lot of growth, but it wasn't the kind of impactful message and thought leadership that I wanted. It was more like it was the wrong kind of followers. It was guys who
Mhm.
thought I had a pretty face, instead of people who believed in my message because my message wasn't strong because I was afraid of receiving hate. Flash forward to after my abusive relationship, I no longer care. I do not care. I have been through the person I thought who loved me, the person who I thought cared the most in the world about me, saying the most awful things to me and like literally torturing me. So, what some guy across the internet behind his keyboard cannot hurt me. That really changed who I showed up as. And I also knew that my content in this new version of myself would be divisive. I went into it knowing I was going to ruffle some feathers, knowing people, men, would be upset, and knowing I didn't care anymore and that they couldn't hurt me. And I had been through so much worse. So I don't think you have to go through trauma to have thick skin. I think you can achieve that mindset in other ways. But sometimes just looking at your life and realizing what you've done to get where you are can be really helpful, and to realize who these people are that are hurling insults at you and that it's like sticks and stones can break my bones. The other side of it, and this is what really helps me when I see those comments in real time, is I remind myself that they're actually helping my videos get a further reach in the algorithm.
Yep.
That's my favorite little hack because every time someone stays to comment on your video, it gets longer playtime, it gets more engagement, and so it pushes your video further into the world. So those trolls are actually helping you. And so I do lean into the controversy and the attention grabbing hooks when I can. And it's not rage baiting, I'm still being truthful. But if people are discussing things in the comments, it's really good for your video. And so if there's trolls and people jump to defend you, or even sometimes in the beginning of a video's run, I will respond to trolls because I want them to keep coming back because it helps my video. So I'm like, all right, bring it
Yeah.
on, guys. That's fine. You're
Yeah.
actually doing me a favor. So that's how I handle it in real time.
So many good points. I was going to ask you if you respond, and I think that that's a great way to look at it. I responded to a couple and then I realized for me, maybe I'm not at a point yet where I can respond and not let it get to me, but I personally felt like my energy was to better use to like ignore it, but
Yeah.
even though I do love creating content, ideally I would love for someone else to be like posting and managing all that because
It is a different job. It's its own job.
yeah, yes, for sure. Another point I wanted to bring up is even though abusive relationships are horrendous and we would not wish that on our worst enemy. Ooh, I don't want to say helped, but it happened
Hmm.
and it forged this path where you are showing up online in this more authentic way and you are like, I don't give a fuck. No one can hurt me.
There have been a lot of studies actually about women post abuse and how, it's beyond just a glow up. It's literally an entire mental leveling up, mental spiral up, where you are better at seeing red flags, better at reading people, better at understanding yourself and your boundaries. So you can pull a lot of positives and strengths and lessons out of it. The same as anything that happens to us for us, right? It can happen, things can happen to you in life, or you can choose to see it as something happening for you. So whatever trial, whatever hardship, and whatever positive situation, you can extract meaning from it. And I think our brains are hardwired to extract meaning from it. So that's the meaning I choose to extract. And yes, I don't think you need that to reach those levels, but I think sometimes it shows up and you can use it as fuel to go further than you maybe ever thought that you could before.
Yes, that's a beautiful point. So many things are choice and how we choose to look at it. And whether you experienced an abusive relationship or not, we all have hardships. We all have different things we go through. It's a part of life. And we can choose what we do with that because at the end of the day, it happened. I can't go back. I can't change it. I can't, it's just, it's a part of my story. It happened. What am I going to do now? What am I going to extract from that and take with me into my life?
Right. What are you choosing to do with these negative comments? How did it affect the way you're showing up with your next video?
It gave me this feeling of nothing can really stop me now because I was so worried about these negative comments. And now that I've realized because of this experience that that is not a thing, and it doesn't mean that I'll never be affected by a comment again. And there were definitely points where I was like, wow, what if every single video I posted was getting a million views and every single day I was having to deal with comments like this instead of it just being a one-off video? That would be a lot. I don't know how I would navigate that, to be honest. I mean, I hope I would take it in the same way that I took this video. And I think that there is a learning curve and you do adjust and the key is to just keep going. The key is to not let it knock you off your horse and to let go of the control. Because like I was saying earlier, the scariest part for me was not knowing what they're going to say. And that's a control thing. And at the end of the day, I don't know I never know what's going to happen. None of us know what's going to happen when we post a video, when we put ourselves out there, when we create art. There's no way to know. There's no way to predict it. Creators say this all the time on social media that the video they took 2 seconds to make is the one that gets however many views, and then the one that they planned all day and edited for 5 hours, it's like, oh, 100 people viewed that. So yeah, I think going forward, I feel like I have up leveled and I know I can handle a new level of stress. It's expanded my
Mm,
capacity for handling stress.
mhm.
And at the same time, I don't want to post things just because I think they'll get a lot of views. Like I still want to stay authentic to myself. So I had to kind of sit with that when I was creating my next video and just be like, Victoria, let go of expectations, let go of the outcome, post what's true to you. And also in terms of owning a business and getting sales and that whole aspect of it, it the viewers and the interactions, those aren't necessarily going to convert to paying
Yeah.
customers. And there's reels that are their point is to get more people to your page, and there's reels that are more for sales. So I don't know if that answers the question, but those are my thoughts.
Yeah. So you said you wanted to discuss the psychology of the people leaving these comments.
Yeah.
What do you know about that? And how has it helped you in handling them?
Yeah. Psychology might be the wrong word because I don't know if this is psychologically accurate.
Mindset or
So it's more of like my opinion. It's what I think. It is based on being in this industry and a lot of work I have done on myself and with clients and in the mental health space. And I will keep this very short and sweet. There is no way you are happy or fulfilled in your life if you are getting joy out of leaving negative comments on people's videos. Period. And so I view these people kind of, if not from just an apathetic standpoint, it's like a pity
Mm,
standpoint. because I wish they would do some of my breath work and meditations on my YouTube channel and like spend their time doing that.
They're missing the point.
Right. And that's just what I have to remind myself if I get this hit of wanting to like say something mean back. And also it's like I'm a breathwork facilitator and a coach. I can't be like, fuck you in the comments section.
Yeah,
There's a way to say, even though I want to be like, you're an idiot.
because
I can't say that.
people are a lot of people are looking at the comment section and they might not be commenting, but they're looking to see how you respond. They
Exactly.
want to see how you reply. And if there's an opportunity for a thought leadership moment and for displaying your authority on the subject matter, then maybe replying to a troll makes sense. You know,
Yeah.
maybe it's correcting them and providing some real insight. And then people read that in the comments and it
Yeah.
supports your positioning. But yeah, just arguing that with them, yeah, throwing insults back and forth, that doesn't look good as someone who's, grounded and aware.
Yeah. Yeah. I mentioned in the video, not in the caption, in the video, I mentioned that I was celibate. And 99% of the negative comments were about how the only reason men were approaching me is because they thought I would be easy and that I was easy and just desperate, basically. And so I respond to a few and I was like, yes, I was very desperate during my year of celibacy, very desperate during my year of no dating, just keeping it sarcastic and playful. But there was a part of me that had the comment all written out. Why don't you look up celibacy in the dictionary? I was like, just don't, Victoria. You don't need to do
Just
that.
let it go. Just breathe.
Right. Let someone else write that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, but that's to summarize how I view those is I'm just like I am sad for them that the highlight of their day is going online on a profile with no posts with like a picture of a fish
Mm.
and leaving a mean comment on a random woman's social media. That is probably the dopamine hit of their day.
Do you think they get joy out of it, or they're like misery loves company and they're just miserable and they're staying miserable and they want to make everybody else miserable?
I think it's both. I think that they definitely want to bring other people down. I think they're jealous because they probably
Mm.
want to say something. They want to create, they want to put something out there and they feel like they can't, or they're reminded of their ex-wife. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this projection. And yeah, I think that they probably think they're really clever. They think their comments really
Yeah.
clever and they're getting like a hit from that.
Mm-hmm.
I think they really believe that.
Have you ever left a negative comment on someone's video?
When I was in the activism space more so, I would sometimes leave politically charged comments, but it was never straight up just insulting. It was more
Mm-hmm.
of a debate or like making a point about something.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like you're an idiot. I have liked other people's comments that are kind of mean, which I know that's not good either. Granted, it's like on a video that's funny,
Right.
or it's like a comment, someone's doing those commentaries of a video.
Yeah.
What I forget what those are called. So yes, I have, but now even the comments of making a point, the comments of giving advice, unless the person's asking for input, sometimes they are. Sometimes they're like, "Which dress do you like the best?" and stuff like that. Unless it's something like that, I just think leaving a comment, period, unless you are encouraging someone, is weird. It's
Mm.
weird. I don't know. It's like, what is the point? Are
Mm.
there, do you think the person's gonna read it and take your advice, or you think you're gonna change their mind, or what is the point? But what are your thoughts on that?
Do people feel like social media is their friends and community, and so that's like how they create connection now is by commenting?
Yeah, I mean, if they want to leave a positive comment, I think that's
Right.
great. But is their community a random person that they don't know? I mean, they can think that. I don't know, I was thinking about this today because it's like, yeah, the comment feature is a feature for a purpose, so you can leave comments. But it's also like, yeah, I own a gun. Does that mean I need to go shoot someone or something with it? Or am I using it to protect my house? We have all these tools at our disposal and we get to choose what to do with them. Just because it's there doesn't mean I'm going to go leave a negative comment or give people unsolicited advice or
Hmm.
just because I can.
Hmm.
Trying to think of something that would be legal. Money, like I could choose to use my money to buy a bunch of cheap things that are going to break, or I could buy something that's more expensive, but it's quality. Like I'm choosing what I'm going to do with that money. I'm choosing what I'm going to do with the comments section.
Some people do choose to buy a
Yep.
bunch of cheap things that are going to break.
Yep. And that's okay. Maybe that's how they learn. Just like how maybe
Mm.
leaving negative comments is how someone gets to a place of, "Oh, wow, I don't want to be miserable anymore. Why am I doing
Maybe.
this?" Like, so,
Ah, okay. Tangent. There was there's something to be said about negative comments that ties into actually the extracting lessons from harmful situations and hardships. Like I extracted some lessons from my abusive relationship. And there's something on an energetic level. So let's look at it beyond even just the, oh, somebody said something mean. And I want to use Taylor Swift as an example here, which I don't care if you love her or you hate her, that's beyond the point. And there's a good example, though. I'm going to try and explain it in how she was initially loved by so many people when she first started coming out, but also absolutely hated by so many people. There was this entire consciousness that hated Taylor Swift. And I'm going to be honest, I was one of those people. I just could not stand her. And I had friends who loved her and were like, oh my God, I love her. She's so great. And I was like, no. And they would try and show me music videos and they were like, look, her production value is so amazing. I'm like, well, she's got millions of dollars. I would hope the production value is amazing. But I just hated her songs and her presence. And I don't know, it's not like she did anything to me, but I couldn't stand her. And then a few years went by, and I think right before Folklore came out, or I don't remember the exact timeline, but she had that documentary. And at that time, for some reason, I was starting to like hate Taylor Swift less. And so were a lot of other people around me. There was this collective movement of people sort of softening around her. And when Folklore came out, a lot of people really loved that album and a lot of people jumped on the Taylor Swift train. And then I think I saw in her documentary, she was talking about this spiritual experience she had of just feeling like the whole world hated her. And then she reached a level of not caring and of letting it go and looking beyond that and like accepting it and being okay with it. And then all of a sudden, she felt the shift of people like slowly started to stop hating her. And so that collective hate actually served her soul some sort of purpose in self love and learning to accept herself and not care what people thought. And so, all of us and our energies and our feelings towards others, and maybe even the haters on your video, are there as this collective part of your soul's journey to learn something about itself.
yes, I 1000% agree with that. And Taylor is a great example. Celebrities in general are a great example because that's another situation where I almost left a defensive, kind of angry comment. Is I have a friend who, I don't know if the movie did come out, but there was like all this controversy around it. I won't give any names, but he was in it and there were all these negative comments about the movie, about the actress. It was this whole thing. And I just kept thinking, oh my God, these people are insulting world-renowned actresses and musicians. And it's like, say what you want about people not being talented or I don't like this or that, but it's like they're at that point because they worked their ass off to get there. They were consistent. They did something. Like you don't just get there. I mean, sure, if you're a nepo baby, there is nuance, but if you're a nepo baby and you suck at acting, you're not gonna be stay up there and be cast. No one wants to watch them if they're bad. So I can't think of an example right now, but I'm sure there's people's children who have tried and it just didn't work. But it definitely helps. But these people commenting, what have they ever done? What have they ever worked
Right.
on to that extent? What are their talents? But yet they're out here insulting, I don't know, Johnny Depp, just pulling out a random
Mhm.
person. But to look at it in that way is very much this externalizing, putting the blame on someone else, and these people are X, Y, and Z, when really, like you were pointing out beautifully, everything is happening perfectly. And back to the point of choosing, Taylor Swift made the choice of like, okay, this is my reality. I can keep being like, oh my God, everyone hates me and this sucks and let it bring me down. But she rose above it and was like, I don't care. And that actually shifted. And there's so many examples of that, of like when we shift something in ourselves, it shifts the world around us. It
Right.
shifts the people around us.
There is, yeah, that understanding that this is happening for me.
Yep.
This hate that I'm receiving is happening for me.
Yep.
And looking inward towards yourself at what you
Yeah.
need to learn and accept and embrace or look past and ignore. And again, it's not about I'm doing this because I want the hate to stop. It's I'm doing this because there's something I need to learn about myself. And then the hate stops
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, there's always going to be people who are triggered by someone who is more successful than them,
Mm.
someone who is speaking their truth. And even as someone watching someone's video or watching a certain performer or whatever it is and feeling triggered by that, that is a beautiful invitation to look within and be like, why?
Mm-hmm.
Why does it bother me so much that this woman is making videos about her celibacy or this woman's talking about abuse that she experienced? Why is that triggering me? Why
Yeah.
is that
Why
bothering
does that
me?
make me angry?
Right, exactly, exactly. Both sides of it can be so expansive and could literally
Hmm.
change the entire world and collective energy if everyone took that route of looking within. And obviously I'm guilty of it too. I mean, I'm guilty of it on this podcast being like, these people, they're so lame doing this. But that's a way of deflecting from, I'm sure there's a part of me that that is hurt, that feels misunderstood or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, okay, now I get to look within and be like, what do I need to accept and understand about myself so that I can be even less impacted next time?
What's the answer to that?
I don't know. I think it's letting go of needing to be understood.
Mm.
Trusting that the right people are going to find the message that you are putting out, and the ones who don't get it, the ones who leave mean comments, the ones who don't even watch the video, they just scroll past, those are not your people, and that's okay. You're never going to be loved and accepted by everyone. And like you were saying earlier, of always wanting to be liked by everyone when you first started posting on social media, that has been a huge theme throughout my life. And I think we all, on some level, we all want love, we all
Yeah.
want
It's
acceptance.
biological. Yeah.
Yes. And I think that was like a really big block for me of just,
Mm.
I want to make everyone happy. I want to make everyone comfortable. So I want to keep the peace. All goes back to childhood stuff. And
Mm.
then there's also this other part of me that is like very much combative and does not care and is like, I need to say this. Do you feel that way?
that there's a part of me that wants to keep the peace and a part of me that wants to be fiery. Hmm. I'm reminded of times when I was a kid and I was just very sassy with people. And then I'm reminded by times when my grandpa straight up called me a bitch in front of people. And he's very sarcastic, but I just laughed it off because what are you gonna do? You're like at the family barbecue and he's like, wow, you're being a beat. Like, what? Like, grandpa, what? But then afterwards being like, what the heck? Why didn't I like tell him you can't talk to me that way? And I don't think I even said or did anything that called for that. I wasn't making a big scene at the barbecue and like being mean to my grandma or something. We were just having a conversation. And I don't even think about anything argumentative. So, in moments like that, maybe I have sacrificed my boundaries and sacrificed standing up for myself in order to keep the peace, to just let things slide and go by. And then I've regretted it later. And I'm like, wait, why didn't I say something? Why didn't I create some conflict there? But then there's been other times where I have put my foot down and created conflict because there's something that's not right. So it very much depends. And I think that's just, it's on that scale, you know? There's no black or white answer when it comes to that. It's like a sliding gray scale. And you're just finding the right position for the right situation of how much do I, yeah, accept what's coming my way and how much do I work to get out of it.
Yeah. And in the case of your grandpa, and this can also relate to people in the comments, it can relate to anyone that we are either in a close relationship with or a stranger. Yes, it's valuable to speak your truth and stand up for yourself, but do you think there's also points where it's not even worth it and it kind of is better to just not say anything because either that person is not going to receive it or I don't know.
Yeah, I still think in that situation, it was a lesson for me. I just don't want to be disrespected, you know, and it was also at a time when I was with my previous partner, the
Mm,
abusive one. This was before the physical abuse, but he definitely was slowly ramping up with emotional and verbal abuse. And I remember, and it was early though, and I remember telling him after the incident, how can you talk to me this way? Like my partner, you're talking to me so disrespectfully. And yet you agree with me that like I shouldn't be letting my grandpa speak disrespectfully to me. So on the
mm,
one hand, I'm telling you I'm upset that he said that to me and that I should have stood up for myself and you're agreeing with me, but you think it's okay for you to be disrespectful to me. So I was seeing this like theme of disrespect and allowing people to be rude to me. And does the grandpa calling me that in the like grand scheme of things make a difference? Probably not. Like there were maybe three people standing there at the barbecue that heard it and it wasn't a big deal and it's oh sarcastic grandpa, whatever. But for me to not let anybody call me names uncalled for and to realize that even people close to me, my grandpa, my partner, is not okay.
mm.
But instead, I let my partner convince me that, no, no, you should hold that boundary with your grandpa, but with me, it's different. So it's a yes and situation. Sometimes it
Yeah.
does matter. But you have to also forgive yourself when you are not able to do it in the moment. Because in the moment, we go into this fight, flight, freeze, fawn response. Like, I'm not going to cause a scene. I'm not going to be trouble. I'm going to be the good girl. And that's okay. Yeah, maybe the in the moment it was okay for me to react that way and I have to be patient and understanding. But yeah, I do still kind of wish that I had been like, you can't talk to me like that. That's not okay to say. And then also told my partner, no, you're wrong. That's not okay to say. I mean, I did tell him that, but I let him convince me otherwise. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's so interesting. I do go back and forth with that whole idea of quote unquote turning the other cheek
Mm.
versus I'm going to say something and stand up for myself. And also, it's so ingrained in us as women to blame ourselves in all kinds of
Mhm.
situations. Oh, maybe I did come off a certain way when I said that, or maybe
Mm.
I gave off this impression or whatever. And
Maybe I was desperate in my year of celibacy and
right. Oh my God. Wow. Yeah. It's yeah, it's ridiculous.
it's ridiculous.
But it is so ingrained in us to, especially when it's coming from like an elder or a man. On the surface, we're like, no, F that, whatever, they're dumb. But then there is this little part, at least for me, that still wants to at times shrink. I mean, it really depends who I'm with. Honestly, with my partner, I probably could hold my tongue a little bit more, get a little reactive and defensive at times, and it's not super productive. But yeah, in public settings with people I don't know that well, with people I'm not comfortable with, I do at times will have a tendency to go into the freeze response.
Mm.
Or if I do stand up for myself, it's kind of comes out in this whiny, jokey way of like, don't say that. Don't
Mm.
say that to me. Versus like,
Mhm.
stop.
Mhm.
But it's interesting. Everything's happening for our highest good and to expand us and
Yeah.
reflect and have these
Yes.
conversations and all the things.
Yes. So what's the key takeaway then for someone who is maybe afraid to start sharing their message and their truth and their purpose because they don't want to get hate comments? And maybe for someone who has been receiving a lot of hate comments recently and is at the end of their rope with it.
I would say if you haven't even been posting because you're afraid of what people think, view it as an experiment and start small. Start with something on your story. Start with a short video. Maybe you're not even in it. You can go on CapCut and find little like memes and different things you can make reels with. Just start, move slowly. Don't make your first reel this thing where you're making this very controversial point. I mean, do whatever you want at the end of the day, but if you are scared and if you don't want to overwhelm your nervous system and then be like, I'm never doing that again, I advise take it slow. Look at it as an experiment, as a video game. Life is a video game. Oh,
Mm.
how am I going to react to this? How is it going to feel when I do this? Oh, that actually felt
Right.
great.
Gamify it.
Posting that. I'm going to celebrate that. I'm going to get myself a little reward of some kind because I posted. Celebrating the little steps you take. And if you do get a comment and it is triggering, sitting with that, being reflective. Why? Why does that bother me? Do I believe what this person said? Because someone could say something else and it could just roll off my back. Why is this particular comment stressing me out?
Quick tangent. Have you seen the guy who talks about that? He's like, "Oh, hey, Victoria, I hate your blue hair. Does that bother you?"
No,
No. Why?
because it's not true. It's just blatantly not true.
Okay. Well, you're a worthless person who wastes people's time.
Yeah, that's going to bother me a little. Yeah, because I'm like, am I?
Why? It's not true. It's obviously not true. But there's a piece of you somewhere. There's some small piece of you somewhere that believes it could be true,
Yeah.
right? So it's not about the comment, it's about our belief of ourselves.
Mm-hmm. 1000%. Everything is a mirror. And it's also the tangible versus intangible. I can see I don't have blue hair, but maybe people do think I'm wasting their time. I don't know. So it is that is definitely something that would stress me out to be told. So yeah, that is the work.
Is the work.
Oh, what's something I wanted to say earlier? If I remember, I'll put them in the caption, but I forget which person at the conference was talking about this, but I heard it again in a podcast and I was like, okay, this is
Mm.
obviously I'm meant to do this because I've heard it twice now. Making a note in your notes app. I actually just shared this with one of my clients too. where you add positive things that happen to you every day into this notes app. One person saying, I really love that reel, or this resonated with me. Like literally anything. It can be any little positive feedback you get from anyone on anything that you're doing, or any type of win, just putting it in this notes app and going and looking at that, because our minds are wired to focus on the negative comments, and just having that to go back to.
Actually, I've been doing that for a long time, even before I was heavily doing the content, just in my business. Anytime I would get a positive review, I would screenshot it. And anytime I would get positive email, screenshot it. And I have an album full of these positive messages. And on the days when it's harder to get up and start working on my business, I look at that because I can see the impact it has on people right away. And I've been screenshotting the positive comments as well, because it's just like you said, like, and I think I actually reached out to you about this one time. I was like, I can have 300 comments on a video of people saying how helpful it is, how relatable it is. Like, oh my God, you don't know what I was going through, and this makes me feel so seen, and this is such good work, and you're really making a difference. I can have 300 comments like that, and then I get one stupid negative comment, and I'm like, that's the one that's replaying in my head over and over and over again.
Right.
So to catch yourself in those moments and just go back to your list of positive things or your album of positive comments and feedback can help break you out of that.
Yes, 1000%. And yeah, I think that's the advice I want to leave with someone who is getting a lot of negative comments and they're feeling discouraged. And ultimately, like Amon was saying earlier, it's helping the algorithm, it's helping more people find your video. And also, you said this to me about my recent video, is it's hitting a nerve, it's doing something, and that is important. It might be painful to get the negative comments, painful to get that type of feedback, but it is a sign that you're onto something. You're not just making this like palatable thing where everyone's like, "Oh, you're so pretty. That's nice." Like you are getting to people, and seeing it that way and seeing that you are making people think. You're getting under people's skin, and that's, I don't know, I feel like that's a good thing, unless, you're being mean, and I don't think you are, but if you're just out there making fun of people and being an a-hole, then, that doesn't apply to you. But if you are speaking authentically in your truth, passionate about your message, and it's triggering people, good on you. Keep going. And do the Taylor Swift thing. Can you get to a point, again, not with the sole purpose of making the comment stop, but can you get to a point of just loving yourself and accepting yourself regardless of what anyone else says? Because I think that is truly the invitation, and that is going to take you to the next level of your business. You are being initiated.
Yes, yes, that's right. I think that's a great place to leave it. Accept it as the initiation. It's an invitation to level up and to look inward and see what is it doing for you. And then all of those little tidbits of things that you can do to help in the moment, put those into practice, put those into use. But at the end of the day, everything comes from within. So looking at the message for yourself and then taking care of your body and your nervous system and your mental health. Don't just let that go. Do your self-care. But with all of that, you can really step into those inner reflections and then step up into the next level. If you guys are struggling with negative comments, reach out to us. We're happy to help more. We can provide further insights or commiserate if you want, or let you know our honest opinion on your content. It's probably amazing. So don't let the negative comments get to you. There's a lot more people who will be positively affected by your work than there are people who are going to hate on it. And honestly, the ones hating on it are going to forget about it 2 seconds later because they're just throwing it out into the void, throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. And so if you don't let it stick to you, then they're not going to pay any more attention to it.
Exactly. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you, Amon.
Share this episode with a friend if you hear about anybody struggling with negative comments, and we'll be back next week.